Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. Got pics of my wife entering her dad's house with another man while her dad was out of town. My wife, female 25, myself and my stepson, who is 8 years old, are now residing with my mother-in-law while our new construction home is being constructed. We've been here since March and won't be able to leave until at least January at the earliest. A few nights ago, I received a Facebook message from an unknown sender informing me that my wife was having an affair with another man. At first, I wanted to dismiss the message, but then I wondered how they knew what I was talking about. It turned out to be my father-in-next-door law's neighbor towards the end of the story. He has surveillance cameras installed throughout his home. Photographs of her automobile in the driveway, along with another vehicle that I had never seen before, were supplied to me by him. My father-in-law was out of town at the time this was taking place. Because of the poor quality of the images, I can't make out much of what is being shown. They were at the residence for around 2 hours at a time together. As a result, I have no idea who this individual is. My wife has been acting a little strangely over the past 2 months. Her phone's password had been changed by her. She sleeps with her phone almost tucked below her pillow. She ceased communicating with me about her whereabouts. I've hit a couple big stumbling blocks in my attempts to use this knowledge against her. Because his real father has never been engaged in his upbringing. I love him more than she does, and after we were married, he began referring to me as his father. If I were to get a divorce, I would have no right to visit him, and he would most certainly be mentally scarred for the rest of his life as a result of the experience. I am a resident of her mother's home. Her basement is filled with my possessions, and I have nowhere to go. The question is, what should I do? Take a long-term approach. File for adoption so that I would have something to stand on in court if and when we divorce. That way, I'd have a better chance of seeing my stepson at the very least. Or do I simply detonate a nuclear weapon and destroy everything? Story 2. Married 8 years, 2 kids, wife cheated, complicated. I'll start by providing a high-level overview, followed by further specifics. My wife and I had been married for 8 years at this point. I am an active duty military member that has relocated twice in total. My wife was always the one who spoke negatively about others who strayed or did things similar to them, and she made it clear that she would prefer it if I divorced her before I ever cheated on her. I eventually did. Projection. Soon after we relocated to a new state and purchased a home, my wife started a new job, and I eventually discovered she was having an emotional affair with a coworker through text messaging and social media. I later discovered she was hanging out with the guy and had kissed him, and I saw messages in which she expressed her love for him. She first lied about everything until I forced the truth out of her, but she continued the affair for months after that. She mentioned divorce many times, as well as her moving out of the home to live in the neighborhood and splitting custody of the children, among other things. It was finally over, and I was hopeful that we would be able to carry on happily ever after once I began to restore trust. She claims that she took this action because I was inattentive of her and our children, as shown by my frequent video game playing and overall lack of assistance around the home. I confess that I've had issues, and that I could be a better person in certain ways. I'm well aware that I'm not perfect. This is a very simple summary of what she claimed to be her issues with me in general. Fast forward 2 years, and my wife is returning to our home state with her parents for 4 days while I am responsible for the children. She returned, and I had to go across the country for business for a week. When I returned, she informed me that she wanted a divorce because I had reverted to my old ways and she couldn't handle it any longer. She added that at least this time, there wasn't another man involved. Later, we come to an agreement that she will take the children and return to her hometown for 6-9 months in order to think and regain her independence, as well as to be closer to her parents for support and to see them more, all in order to see if she would want to try to work it out before returning. And I agreed because I desperately wanted a chance to save this marriage. I still had not moved out when we went home for Thanksgiving, and it was a roller coaster of her exhibiting some love and debating over whether or not she really wants it to work, and the possibility that she would not move back after leaving was a constant worry for me. I was still attempting to trust her from the previous time when we returned from our vacation. My suspicions eventually got the better of me, and I conducted some investigation despite my feelings of being remorseful. My suspicions were confirmed when I discovered she was communicating. Know the full story. Maybe she was exhausted and just wanted to go into a room to sleep or something similar. So that night, as we were getting about to go to bed, I asked her whether she loved me, and she responded affirmatively. I then inquired as to whether she had ever cheated on me, and she responded by asking me why I would ask her such a question. My stomach dropped once again. I told her that I was just curious, and she responded by asking what it was that had me thinking that way. Instead of admitting, she continues forcing me to tell her what I know, and then she'll tell me what she thinks I should do with the information. As a result of this technique, things have become even worse for me, since I know that there is likely much more information out there that I will never learn about. So I informed her that I had discovered her Google history, and she immediately admitted that she had cheated on me at the time and expressed regret. She told me about a man from her work who said all of the right things, and she also said how she enjoys performing oral, something that she and I don't do very frequently, and when we do, I never have a response from it. She then went on to clarify that they had just had oral, and that there had been no physical contact between them, and that she would be terminating all contacts with him immediately. Growing up, I always told myself that if someone cheated on me, I would end the relationship instantly, but at this time, I was torn between the two positions. I recall thinking that at the very least, she didn't attempt to hide it anymore, but I was going through a roller coaster of emotions at the time. I was upset, I was furious, I was depressed. At one time, I thought it was my fault, and at another moment, I thought I should cheat to make things more fair, but I didn't. She has known since our third date that I'm a male, and she and I have been attending couples therapy sessions together since then. The fact that she is not interested in a number of topics that I would want to explore with her is frustrating to me. Consequently, in treatment, we spoke about the possibility of somewhat widening the scope of our connection. From my perspective, if there was anything she wanted that I was unable to or didn't want to do, she knew that I would be okay with it as long as we addressed it beforehand, but she chose to do it behind my back instead. If it hadn't been for the fact that I was seeking for this specific product, I would have never heard about it, and who knows how many other times something similar has occurred. For some strange reason, going behind my back made me feel as though there was another guy out there who had authority over me, which I found disturbing. At the time I learned of this, we still had around 6 months till our wedding day. We had already made a number of deposits, and my family and friends were all really enthusiastic about the prospect of participating. I made the decision to forgive her and go with the wedding, but my faith in her had been entirely destroyed. At that point, I urged her to make sure she was constantly sharing her whereabouts with me, and I told her that I would begin checking for items on her phone and laptop as soon as she got home. Whenever she arrived home later than planned or expressed a desire to go out for breakfast with her companions, I became suspicious. Her attempt to convince me that she had made a mistake and that she wanted to set things right was outstanding, though. She dialed her phone and informed her immediate relatives of what she had done, vowing that she would never do such a thing again. She informed me that I was entitled to a free pass if I so desired, and I informed her that I did not want to redeem it. She has apologized to the other man for what they did and informed him that she would no longer be in contact with him, and she has made a sincere attempt to regain my confidence. It has made a significant difference, but things are still not ideal. It's the equivalent of unfolding a paperclip and then attempting to fold it back into its original form over and again. It seems to be the same, however there are some faults in it now. Dark thoughts still flow through my brain at odd intervals. What if she's still cheating? Why would she cheat on me? Should I get even? But it's becoming easier to deal with them as time goes on. After 6 months of marriage, I can confidently state that the future is looking better by the day, but it has not been an easy path to travel so far.